Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for UFC Fight Night 65. Overall, very fun card. 10 of the fights went to a finish. Various finishes, lots of cool knockouts. Couple of different. They got some guillotines and armbar in there, so some submissions as well. My picks sucked. To put it plainly, 3 out of 12. It's just not a good night for me. Bonuses, there are 4 performance of the night bonuses. Robert Whittaker, James Vick, Daniel Hooker, and Alex Chambers all got performance of the night. I will say this. My picks are bad. I don't find too many of the guys I picked, like in hindsight, usually I'll say, oh, this is a totally egregious pick. Why did I pick this guy? And a lot of these fights, I like James Vick, Jake Matthews, Daniel Hooker, Hachiyoki. I thought Jonathan Webb beat Noak. Brad Scott, Dylan Andrews to an extent. Definitely with Kylan Kerr and Alex Chambers. I mean, these were, in some cases, the guys I picked were winning until they lost. It's not much to hang my hat on, but it's just that case of, like, in hindsight, it's like, oh man, I was real stupid to pick this guy, Some guys got demolished, I would pick Robert Whittaker to beat Brad Tavares if they fought again. At this point, I'd probably go with maybe even Sean O'Connell, Anthony Parash, just because, like, Parash will either lose and lose badly or win by most likely like a submission. This time he lost badly, so there were a couple come from behind victories, or else just fights that were pretty equal, or else one guy was actually winning until that person lost. So let's get started. Stipe Miocic defeated Mark Hunt by TKO in the 5th round. This fight should have been stopped in the 3rd. I mean, it was just Mark Hunt getting pounded out. Stipe was hitting some really nice reactive, really nicely timed single leg takedowns on Mark Hunt. Really got low, because it's really hard to get in Hunt's hips, and he really got in low and managed to take him down. Used an effective jab against Hunt, and found his range and was hitting with high volume. One thing about Hunt, I mean, he's in his 40s. One thing about him is that I'm starting to notice is he's not. It kind of seems like he only has one gear now. He's looking for a lot of single shots. He fights at like one pace. I love the guy, but it's just he's not exactly looking for the knockout or anything like that. But like I don't see a second gear to his I just don't see a second gear to his offense anymore. Just this is the pace he's gonna go. This is a strike selection he's gonna use. And that's it. And either guys can beat him or they cannot. In this case, Stipe beat him and beat him badly. The ground and pound was high volume. Like I said, he got some good positions for the ground and pound. Hunt was eating a lot of unanswered shots. Whether you felt the ground and pound was strong or not really wasn't the issue here. He's taking a bunch of unanswered shots. It's a good one for Stipe, he's a guy that should very well be in line for a title shot after something like this, just because he's one of the more fresher contenders out there, and he is a good fighter. He's got good wrestling, good ground and pound, and good boxing, and in heavyweight having that is really strong, and he's got a good chin too, so. And he strikes in volume. A lot of heavyweights don't strike too much in volume. They go for one-hitter quitters. So, he's on not on a win streak though. You know, he need another win. You know, he can fight like the winner of Travis Brown versus Orlovsky. That'd be a cool fight to see for a possible next contender. If I want to do like the winner of Frank Mir, Todd Duffy, that'd be pretty cool too. Who else? Overeem, Stipe would be cool. I know Overeem's fight. I think Overeem's probably gonna fight Junior Dos Santos. So you know, there's a lot of options for Stipe. I definitely see future title contender for him. Just one, it's heavyweight. I mean, he's very good, you know, for the standard of heavyweight, you know. Mark Hunt, wow, that was a beating, but I think he can still get wins in the UFC. You know, he's coming off a loss, whether it's like a Gonzaga, the loser of what, Sean Jordan, Derek Lewis. If you want to give him like someone that far down, or you give him someone that far up, he's still good for as a good like gatekeeper type, maybe good action fighter though, for sure. He'll put a fun fight. You know, for some this wasn't necessarily enjoyable after like say the first round, especially after the third, but he'll put fun fights in the heavyweight division. Nice fight after that. Robert Whittaker defeated Brad Tavares by knockout, 44 seconds in the first round. You know, it's one thing I gotta do with Brad Tavares is just really, you have to really examine him and the way he fights. He's technical, he's good inside boxing, he can grapple, he's good takedown defense, but you know, there's a pattern with him of allowing his opponent, and in this case he didn't really allow his opponent to get into the fight, but like him not being a finisher, and at least Whittaker being a finisher, definitely made it hard for me to pick this fight. Didn't account for Whittaker's speed and accuracy. At middleweight, he seems to be one of the more quicker fighters. He still hits very hard, a very accurate left hook. You know, definitely got, you know, he beat the number 14 guy in the division. So Whittaker's a guy on the up and up. You know, he's in that range now. You know, like Kasafulov, who's there, Uriah Hall's there. Who else? You know, Dalloway's around that level. You know, he's around that, like Tim Bosch. You know, he's another guy that's kind of in that level. And Whittaker's there, and I'd like to see him fight one of those guys that I just mentioned. Tavares, you know, he doesn't have. He's got to fix stuff. I mean, he's got to be a fin. I don't know why. Maybe he just doesn't have it, but he's just not a finisher. You know, he just is not a guy who finishes fights by strikes. He has a bad tendency to let his opponent get back into the fight. Didn't even want to fight Bubba McDaniels. He's beating up Bubba McDaniels third round. Bubba McDaniels takes him down. And, like, he wasn't really close to getting finished, but it's like, you know, he shouldn't have really allowed him to get back in the fight, all things considered. There's stuff he needs to fix. I used to think of him as a dark horse prospect of the division. Don't see it anymore. Kind of see that in Kyle Magalesh now. Oh, Kyle Magalesh versus Robert Whittaker would be pretty cool. Actually, Magalesh fighting Josh Saman. Winner of that fight versus Robert Whittaker would be cool. But yeah, you know, good stuff from Robert Whittaker. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him in middleweight. He's a good example of a guy moving up in weight and looking good. You know, there's guys that they want to move down in weight all the time and think that that'll help their performance. Whitaker moved up in weight from welterweight to middleweight and seems to be doing better now at middleweight than at welterweight. I honestly believe there's a ceiling to Whitaker at this weight class. I'd like to see guys try and grapple with him, but he's doing really well. He's one of the quicker fighters of the division, so good win for him. Next fight of that, Sean O'Connell defeated Anthony Perosh by TKO in the first round. 56 seconds first round. You know, it's Anthony Perosh. You know, I've seen Anthony Perosh beat the Sean O'Connells of the world. You know, take down, take the back, choke him out. I've seen him do it. He's done it before. But I've also seen him get knocked out by Ryan Jimmo in 7 seconds. You know, his chin isn't that great. He's not that good at getting pressured, obviously. And you know, O'Connell got the win. You know, he blitzed him. It's the right strategy to do on Perosh. And he got him. You know, there's really not much I can say here. It's a good win for O'Connell. Definitely a guy that has like 2 fight of the night bonuses, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely a guy that's found his place in the UFC. I mean, he's not much of a prospect or anything. Wouldn't even consider him much of a, I guess a gatekeeper. But what I'd define him at is, I'd say Perosh is more of a gatekeeper, if anything. I'd say Sean O'Connell is a fun action fighter. You know, definitely has a live by the sword, die by the sword type of fighting style. You can watch the fight against John Vellante or Matt Van Buren, and it just kind of shows. And he's getting work done. He's getting wins in the UFC. I don't think he can go too high up in the division, to be honest with you, but definitely have fun fights in the division. Anthony Perosh, just he's going for some more lower to mid-tier guys in the division, I suppose. I think he's going to stay in the UFC. He's kind of he's a decent enough light heavyweight. You know, a danger on the ground, especially if he's on top, but definitely a flawed fighter, not the best chin. Next fight, that James Vick defeated Jake Matthews by guillotine in the first round. So, you know, there's also one of the cases of hey, Jake Matthews was doing really well until he lost, pretty much. James Vick, man, gosh, this guy, total dark horse of lightweight, young, big for the weight class, really tall. Not the most technically sound guy. I mean, he is very much like a Ricardo Lamas, just the opportunist. I mean, it's just, you give the guy an opening and, you know, give a guy a foot, he'll take a mile, you know. I mean, that's him. You know, he finds those opportunities to get the win. I still think Jake Matthews has a bright future in the UFC. In MMA, he's still really young. Still needs to fix his defense, though. His chin isn't going to be... He has a great chin right now. It's not always going to be this great. It's real physical. Huge for the weight class. But definitely needs to fix things in his defense. He does get a bit reckless, you know. He's still young, very reckless fighter, but I still see very positive things for him. James Vick, you know, what can I say? He finds ways to win, you know. I mean, ever the opportunist. Miesha Tate, Ricardo Lamas, John Moraga, guys that sometimes aren't the most technical guys at times. Maybe not, you know, not the best at any one particular skill set, but they just find ways to win. I just, you know, it helps that Vic is Someone pointed out to me that he doesn't have the best chin. He has been dropped, but he is tough. You know, there's a guy that will take damage, and he's always in the fight. So he does have a natural toughness to him. Yeah, it's hard to pick a James Vick fight because you're not. I always base my fights on perceived skill sets, and guys like James Vick just kill me. I mean, I have such a hard time picking his fights correctly. It's so tough because he finds those ways to win despite not being the more, in a sense, skilled. You know, like he's not the better striker. He's not the better wrestler. But he's the better opportunist. He has the better killer instinct. It's more intangible, you know. As far as he's fighting next, I mean, yeah, give him a step up, you know. These are some, you know, he's winning, you know. So sure. Give him some of those, like, crazy Brazilian top control grinders, you know. Like a Leonardo Santos, Master Duba. Heck, if you want to go with T-Bow, you know, you can go with T-Bow Vick. I'm curious to see if T-Bow can T-Bow Vick, you know. I'd like to see him get tested and see how he does. Great win for him. Didn't really expect it. And the way the fight was going, I kind of thought Jake Matthews was just gonna do his thing, but no, got caught with a flying knee, got guillotined, and that was it. You know, good win for James Vick there. Yeah, to the prelims, Daniel Hooker defeated Hachioki by knockout as a head kick and follow-up punches in the second round. Once again, this was a fight that I thought Hioki was winning until he lost it. I mean, he was taking those head kicks a bit too freely. I thought he was doing pretty well on the stand-up, but even showing a decent jab, getting some good punches in there. Seemed to have hurt Hooker with a body kick. Managed to take him down, even mount him at one point. You know, it's just one of those things where Hachioki, still a flawed fighter in the stand-up, not the most defensively sound in the stand-up. Hooker, he's a really tough guy. I mean, he's just got, like, he wants a Maximo Blanco fight. I mean, he's just really tough. He's got a really good chin. He's always in the fight. Good win for Daniel Hooker. I don't consider him much of like a blue chip prospect or anything like that. He's not always like, defensively Hooker needs a lot of work, both just standing and in takedown defense. He's always in the fight though. But yeah, just good one for Daniel Hooker. It's more lower to mid-tier guys for him. Pretty much that's what I'm going to be saying for the rest of the guys here. So I thought Kyle Noak defeated Jonathan Webb by split decision. Not gonna lie, I didn't agree with this decision. I thought Jonathan Webb won it. One did seem to have given him a 30-27, which I thought was correct. I just don't see what 2 rounds Kyle Noak took. I thought Webb was actually he wobbled Noak, managed to take him down, get the top control. I know Noak at one period got top control on Webb, but Webb managed to get back to his feet. I think he kind of returned the favor. So yeah, I was actually don't agree with the decision, but it happened, you know. Webb though, you know, he could definitely use a lot of work in stand-up. I mean, he was hitting Noak. He seems a bit still like a wrestler, grappler that's doing MMA. I mean, he's throwing some decent overhands. He times them well, which is good. But, you know, a lot of single shots and whatnot. But, you know, he's a good prospect nonetheless. With Kyle Noak, I mean, he's pretty much just say this, you know, he's just at this point keeping his job in the UFC. He's not much of a prospect. His takedown defense isn't the greatest. He's been fighting for a long time. You know, he's a good test though for the Jonathan Webbs of the world. You know, he's a good gatekeeper type. That's probably what he should be used for moving forward. Next fight after that, Sam Alvey defeated Daniel Kelly by TKO, 49 seconds in the first round. I think someone's getting their confidence way up these days. Sam Alvey's looking real good. Knocked out Cesar Martin since last fight. Knocked out Dylan. Well, Dylan Andrews kind of knocked himself out. Considering how bad Sam Alvey looked against like Tom Watson, he's been looking really good lately. You know, I mean, he just no fear of no respect for Daniel Kelly's offense whatsoever. Came in, did work, dropped him 3 times in that short span of the fight. I mean, it was just good stuff from Sam Alvey. The guy's got a wicked lead hook too. Tough out, you know. I don't really know much about the prospects of him in the division. He hits really hard. Not the most technical guy. He's got a good chin though. I've seen him get taken down, but he's hard to really like beat up or anything like that. And he can get out of bad positions too. So yeah, you know, Sam Alvey, solid fighter. I want to say, I think, did he? I don't know who called out who, but like I think either Elias Theodoro called out Alvey or vice versa. I'm not too sure. That wouldn't be a bad fight actually. Sam Alvey, Elias Theodoro. I think that'd be pretty good. 3-fight winning streak. He's got to get a step up in competition. So yeah, someone like that. Maybe the winner of Uriah Hall versus Rafael Natal would be pretty good too for Sam Alvey. But Daniel Kelly, his stand-up is not very good at all. He's like, what, 36. He's got the judo game going on, which is good, but that's really what he has. Just more lower to mid-tier guys in the division for him. Next fight after that, Rebecca Rawlings defeated Lisa Ellis by rear naked choke in the first round. Good win for Rawlings. I expected, you know, this is funny because Lisa Ellis has a really big problem losing positions on the ground, and so she's in like half guard, goes for an armbar, you know, and almost misses it, ends up on her back. You know, and it's like, yeah, that's Lisa Ellis for you. You know, she's just going to, she'll be on top, and somehow she just ends up on her back, and I honestly think a good amount, if not all, female strawweights could probably beat Lisa Ellis at this point. Not trying to insult her. It's nothing personal. It's just what I've noticed from her. Rawlings, you know, she's tough. Her stand-up, she's always gonna be on her opponent. Not always the most technical, but and you know, I can see her lose more in the UFC than I can see her win. Don't consider her much of a prospect at this point. But you know, she definitely had. She's. I don't want to use the word fan favorite per se, but you know, she has a following, that's for sure. Really good, you know, for the Australian market as well. So, you know, just more lower to mid tiers of the division for her. Next fight after that, Brad Scott defeated Dylan Andrews by guillotine choke in the second round. You know, in the first round, Dylan Andrews managed to drop Brad Scott. I think twice, actually. he was doing all right. You know, I mean, this fight was a little more even. I'd actually favor more Scott, but I thought it was competitive up until the finish. And yeah, that's the thing with Andrews. You know, he's not always the most reliable guy. He can win some, but he'll also lose some too. Brad Scott, he's still pretty young, but like there's nothing in his skill set that makes me think of him as like a great prospect or anything like that. Stand-up's good. It's not great. His grappling's good. It's not great. Like he's good everywhere, but not great at any one aspect of MMA. Nonetheless, good win for him. Just more lower to mid-tier guys at the division for both. Next fight after that, Alex Chambers defeated Kylan Curran by submission in the third round. Man, jeez, this corner. The corner actually said the double leg is there all day. And it's like, dude, she's beating Chambers in the stand-up, getting her against the fence, blitzing her once she's up against the fence and whatnot, and just doing well in the stand-up. The only place that Chambers would have won the fight is on the ground. Chambers doesn't necessarily have much pop in her strikes. But, what it is with Kylan Curran, inexperience, you know. It's like, she didn't need to go for the takedown. You know, and it's just a really inexperienced thing that she did. Maybe it's a fight IQ thing. I don't really think so. Then Chambers come from behind victory here for sure. If they fought again, I'd honestly just pick Kylan Curran to win that one. She's probably in danger of being on the chopping block though. But I mean, she can fight like I don't know, like a Bodarak. Who else is coming off a loss? If you want to go Kylan Curran, Lacey Ellis, that'd be cool. You know, so they're, you know, give her like a Kylan Curran, Emily Kagan or something like that. But nonetheless, good win for Chambers. I have a really hard time seeing Chambers get wins in the UFC though. It's just, I can't really imagine her opponents are gonna really respect her stand-up. Where she's a danger at would be on the ground. So she's just really tricky on the ground. I remember when she fought like Jody Escobar, took her back, choked her out. But she doesn't seem to have a stand-up advantage against most of her opposition. Doesn't have a size advantage. She's at a size disadvantage as well. So, you know, I'd definitely go with like Alex Chambers, like Beck Rawlings. Who else? Who's like kind of lower on there? You know, give her like a Tina Latamaki. You can go like Alexander Albu versus Alex Chambers. That would work as well. And I wouldn't favor Chambers to win that fight. I'd actually pick Albu to win that fight. So yeah, but yeah, definitely a much needed win for Alex Chambers. Next fight after that, Brendan O'Reilly defeated Vic Grujic by unanimous decision. This fight was fun at times, and then it was a clinch fest at others. Both these guys are really slow. Just the way they, you know, their speed, their hand speed and whatnot. They're not the quickest guys for welterweight. You know, Grujic, it seems like all he has is like infighting and like dirty boxing from the clinch and whatnot. But he doesn't really have much else to his game, it looks like. His takedown defense isn't that great. It's tough, but his defense overall isn't that great. Brendan O'Reilly didn't look that great to me either. He has some offensive takedown ability. His striking isn't the greatest. He might want to move down to 155 if he can. But yeah, I don't know if Grudick has much of a future in the UFC. With O'Reilly, he more or less just kept his job at this point. Just more lower to mid-tier fighters of the division for him. And finally, Ben Nguyen defeated Alptekin Oskalik by TKO in the first round. I was expecting Oskalik to utilize his wrestling a lot more against Nguyen, and he just wasn't, you know. And he's boxing with him, and Nguyen, he's got some power in his strikes. Looked pretty good. I can see him being something more of a fun action fighter at flyweight. And that's kind of what I would like to see him in, and just more action fights in flyweight. As far as Oscar goes, I mean, this is their loss in a row for him now. He might get cut from the UFC after this. So that's it for my post-fight analysis for UFC Fight Night 65. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.